The forest was burning when Commander Marcus Webb arrived at the crash site. Trees lay scattered like broken matchsticks, their trunks still smoking from whatever had torn through them. Marcus moved carefully through the wreckage, his rifle raised, his heartbeat steady. 20 years in the Marine Corps had taught him to stay calm when everything else was chaos. The ship sat in the center of the destruction. It was unlike anything Marcus had seen in his military career. The hull was smooth, almost organic, with patterns that seemed to shift in the firelight. A large crack ran down one side, and strange blue fluid leaked from it, hissing as it touched the ground. Marcus approached the opening. His radio crackled with static. Command would be here within hours, maybe less. Whatever was inside this ship, he would be the first human to see it. He climbed through the crack and immediately knew he was not alone. She was lying against the far wall. Her body broken, but her eyes burning with fierce intelligence. She was tall, perhaps 7 feet, with silver skin that seemed to glow faintly in the darkness. Her armor was shattered, revealing wounds that would have killed any human instantly. But she was still breathing, still watching him with those strange, double-pupilled eyes. "Human," she said, and Marcus nearly dropped his rifle in shock. She spoke English, her voice rough with pain but clear. "You are the first to find me. Good." Marcus kept his weapon trained on her, though something told him it would be useless if she decided to attack. "What are you?" "Princess Vayara of the Salthine Empire," she said, and tried to sit up straighter. Blood, dark purple, almost black ran down her side. "Third daughter of the Eternal Throne. Master strategist. Teacher of warriors, and soon to be dead, unless you help me." "Why would I help you?" Marcus asked, though he was already lowering his rifle. Something about her commanded respect, even in her broken state. Vayara laughed, a harsh sound that turned into a cough. "Because I can give you what your species needs most. Knowledge. Power. The secrets that have kept. My empire undefeated for 10,000 years?" She fixed him with an intense stare. "Your world is in danger, human. Greater danger than you can imagine, and you are not ready to face it." Marcus studied her carefully. "What kind of danger?" "The krill swarm," Vayara said, and for the first time, Marcus saw fear in her eyes. "They devoured my homeworld 3 months ago. Billions dead in a single day. They are coming here next. I came to warn you, to prepare you. But my ship failed, and now I am dying." "Then let me call for help," Marcus said. "We have doctors, technology, no?" Vayara's voice cracked like a whip. "Your governments will take me, study me, waste precious time trying to understand what they cannot. I have days left, perhaps hours. My neural implants are failing. All the knowledge I carry, battle tactics, advanced technology, strategic thinking, it will die with me unless I transfer it to someone worthy." Marcus felt his stomach tighten. "Transfer it." "Through trials," Vayara said. "My people do not give knowledge freely. It must be earned through suffering, through breaking and rebuilding. I will teach you everything I know, but you must survive my methods. They are not gentle. They are not kind. Many of my own people died in the training. Why me?" Marcus asked. Vayara smiled, showing teeth that were too sharp. "Because you came alone. Because you did not shoot first and ask questions later. Because I see in your eyes what my people lost long ago, the ability to choose compassion even when fear would be easier." She paused, breathing heavily. "And because you are already considering my offer, even though every instinct tells you to refuse?" Marcus was silent. She was right. His radio would work again soon. Command would send troops, scientists, politicians. This alien princess would become a lab specimen, her warnings lost in bureaucracy and debate. But if she was telling the truth about this krill swarm, how long would this training take? He asked. 72 hours, Vayara said. 3 days to transfer the essential knowledge, but we cannot do it here. We need somewhere secure, somewhere your people cannot interrupt. Marcus thought of the old Cold War bunker, 15 miles north. Abandoned for decades, buried deep underground, stocked with supplies that might still be useful. It was a relic from a time when humanity feared destroying itself. Now, perhaps it would be the place where humanity learned to survive something worse. "I know a place," Marcus said. "But if I do this, if I help you, I become a traitor to my own government." "They'll hunt us both," Isvayara agreed. "But if you do not do this, your species will face the Krill unprepared. And when they come, Commander Marcus Webb, there will be no government left to call you traitor. There will be nothing left at all." Marcus made his decision. He moved forward and helped Vayara to her feet. She was heavier than she looked, and her injuries were severe. But she did not cry out, did not show weakness. She simply leaned against him and pointed toward her ship. "There," she said, "a medical kit. It will keep me alive long enough to begin." They gathered what they could from the wreckage, strange devices that hummed with power. Containers of supplies Marcus did not recognize. His radio began working again, voices calling his name, demanding status reports. He turned it off. The journey to the bunker took 4 hours. They moved slowly, staying off roads, avoiding the search helicopters that began appearing overhead. Vayara grew weaker with each mile, but she never complained. She only whispered instructions, teaching him even now how to move unseen, how to think like prey and predator at once. When they finally reached the bunker, Marcus entered the access codes he was not supposed to remember. The heavy door groaned open, revealing darkness and the smell of old concrete. He helped Vayara inside, then sealed the entrance behind them. Emergency lights flickered on, casting harsh shadows across the ancient facility. Vayara looked around and nodded approval. This will do. Defensible, isolated, perfect for what comes next. She turned to face Marcus, and suddenly her injuries seemed to matter less. Her eyes glowed brighter, and when she moved, it was with deadly grace. Marcus realized he had made a terrible mistake. He was locked in an underground bunker with a dying alien warrior who had just promised to break him. "Lesson 1 begins now, human," Vayara said, her voice cold and commanding. "Defend yourself." She struck without warning, impossibly fast despite her wounds. Marcus barely dodged, his military training the only thing that saved him from the first blow. He raised his hands, trying to block, trying to understand what was happening. Vayara's fist caught him in the ribs, driving the air from his lungs. Pain exploded across his chest. He stumbled backward, hitting the concrete wall. "Too slow," Vayara said. "Too predictable. My people would have killed you 3 times already." She advanced, her movements fluid and precise. "You asked why I chose you, Commander? Now I will show you. I will strip away everything you think makes you strong. I will break every habit, every assumption, every comfortable lie you tell yourself about being a warrior." Marcus tried to fight back, throwing punches, attempting kicks. Vayara avoided them effortlessly, striking him again and again. Not enough to cripple, but enough to hurt, enough to teach. "And when you are broken," Vayara continued, her voice never losing its icy calm, "I will rebuild you into something your species has never seen. A human with the knowledge of an empire. A soldier who thinks like the galaxy's greatest strategists. A weapon that might, just might, give Earth a chance to survive." Marcus hit the floor, gasping for breath, tasting blood. Above him, Vayara stood like a goddess of war, beautiful and terrifying. "Get up," she commanded. "We have 71 hours and 43 minutes remaining. And Commander Webb, I promise you this, if you survive what comes next, you will never be just human again." Marcus struggled to his feet, pain shooting through his body. His hands shook, but he raised them again. "Ready to continue?" Vayara smiled with fierce approval. The real training had begun. Part 2. Blood. Bruises and broken pride. Marcus did not sleep that first night. Every time his eyes closed, Vayara attacked. She moved through the darkness like a ghost, striking from angles he never saw coming. His body became a map of bruises, his pride a shattered thing on the cold concrete floor. By dawn, he could barely stand. His ribs ached with every breath. His left eye was swollen shut. Blood crusted his lip and knuckles. But he was still alive, still conscious, still fighting. Vayara sat against the wall, watching him with those strange double-pupilled eyes. Her wounds had begun to heal, the purple blood no longer flowing. Whatever medical technology her people possessed, it worked miracles. She looked stronger now, more dangerous. "You survived the night," she said. It was not praise, just observation. Most humans would have begged for mercy by now. Interesting. Marcus spat blood on the floor. "Is that lesson 1? Beat me until I break." "Lesson 1 is simple," Vieira replied. "Pain is information. Fear is feedback. Your body screams at you to stop, to run, to surrender. But these are just signals, Commander. They do not control you unless you let them." She stood, moving with fluid grace. "My people learned this truth 10,000 years ago. We built an empire on it. Now I teach it to you." She walked to a corner of the bunker where she had arranged strange devices from her ship. Holographic displays flickered to life, showing patterns Marcus could not understand. "Come," she commanded. "The real training begins now." Marcus limped forward, his body protesting every movement. The holographic display shifted, forming a three-dimensional maze of lights and shadows. "This is a strategic simulator," Vieira explained. "Your military calls it wargaming, but that term is too simple. This device links directly to your neural patterns, measuring how you think, how you solve problems, how you react under stress." She touched a control, and the maze grew more complex. "You will navigate this scenario while I continue your physical training. Your mind and body must learn to work independently, to process multiple threats simultaneously." Marcus stared at the impossible complexity before him. "I don't understand what I'm looking at." "Exactly," Vieira said. "That is the point. You cannot rely on understanding, on familiar patterns, on comfortable knowledge. You must learn to think in ways your species has never considered." She moved behind him, and Marcus tensed, knowing what was coming. "Begin solving the maze. You have 10 seconds before I attack again." The next hours were torture. Marcus tried to focus on the holographic puzzle while Vieira struck at him without warning. Every time his attention wavered, every time he focused too much on either the mental or physical challenge, she punished him with brutal efficiency. His body accumulated new injuries. His mind struggled with alien logic that made no sense. But slowly, something began to change. Marcus found himself anticipating her attacks. Not through understanding, but through instinct. His hands moved through the holographic controls even as he dodged her strikes. The pain became background noise, present but not consuming. He was learning, his human brain adapting to demands it had never faced before. "Better," Vieira said, and Marcus felt a strange pride at the single word. She rarely gave approval. "But not good enough. You think you are adapting, but you are only surviving. I need you to transcend." She increased the difficulty. The holographic maze became a shifting nightmare of impossible geometry. Her attacks came faster, harder, from directions that should have been physically impossible in the confined space. Marcus felt his consciousness splitting. Part of him focused on the puzzle, part on defense, part on something else entirely. Growing awareness of patterns, of rhythms, of the dance between chaos and control, he began to see solutions not through logic, but through intuition. His body moved without thought, responding to threats before his conscious mind registered them. The boundary between mental and physical began to blur. Then he solved the maze. The holographic display flashed green, and Vieira stopped mid-attack, her fist inches from his face. She studied him with intense focus, then slowly nodded. "You have taken the first real step," she said. "Your species has potential. Raw, undeveloped, but definitely there." She deactivated the simulator. "Rest now. You have 5 minutes before Lesson 2 begins." Marcus collapsed against the wall, his chest heaving. 5 minutes. That was all the mercy she would show. He closed his eyes, trying to gather strength. "Why are you really doing this?" he asked between gasps. "You said your empire destroyed my homeworld? Why help us?" Vieira was silent for a long moment. When she spoke, her voice carried a weight it had not held before. "Because my empire is dead, Commander Webb. The Salthine are extinct. Every world, every colony, every single member of my species, gone." The krill swarm consumed us in 3 months. 10,000 years of civilization erased. Marcus opened his good eye, looking at her. For the first time, he saw past the warrior facade to the grief beneath. I was off-world when the final attack came, Vayara continued, leading a scouting mission, searching for allies, for anyone who might help us fight. I received the last transmission from my homeworld. My daughter's voice crying for me as the sky turned black with krill ships. Her hands clenched into fists. I was too far away. I could do nothing but listen as she died, as they all died. I'm sorry, Marcus said, and meant it. Save your sympathy, Vayara snapped, but there was no anger in it, only pain. I did not come here for comfort. I came because I observed your species while searching for allies. Earth was marked for assessment. My empire considered humanity a potential threat, something to be eliminated before you became dangerous. She moved to face him directly. But I watched you. I saw how you fight among yourselves, how you struggle. With problems you created, how you damage your own world through ignorance and greed. By all logic, my empire was right. Humanity should be destroyed before you spread beyond your solar system. And why didn't you recommend that? Marcus asked. Vayara smiled, sad and fierce. Because I also saw something my people lost millennia ago. You adapt. You change. You learn from mistakes, even terrible ones. My empire became perfect strategy, perfect tactics, perfect warriors, and that perfection made us predictable. The krill understood us too well, exploited our patterns, our certainties. She knelt beside Marcus, speaking with urgent intensity. Humans are messy, unpredictable. You fight with emotion and logic. With creativity and discipline, with compassion and cruelty, all mixed together. Yes. You should not work as a species, but somehow you do. And that chaos, that beautiful disaster you call humanity, that might be exactly what survives when the krill come for you. Marcus absorbed her words. You want us to inherit your knowledge? To become what your people were, but better? Not what we were, Vayara corrected. What we should have been? Strong enough to fight? Wise enough to change? My daughter will never see the stars now. But perhaps humanity's children will. Perhaps they will succeed where we failed. Before Marcus could respond, alarms screamed through the bunker. Both of them tensed, listening. Heavy footsteps echoed above, muffled voices, the whine of cutting equipment. They found us, Marcus said. Of course they did, Vayara replied, already moving toward her equipment. Your government is not stupid, just slow. They traced the crash site, tracked our movement, located this facility. She began activating devices, and holographic displays flickered with tactical information. Excellent timing. Lesson 2 begins now. What's Lesson 2? Marcus asked, struggling to his feet. Vayara's smile was predatory. Real combat. Theory is nothing without application. You have learned to think under pressure, to fight while processing complex information. Now you will use those skills against enemies who want you dead, she handed him weapons from her ship devices that felt organic in his grip, that seemed to respond to his thoughts. Your military is breaching from above. It will come with overwhelming force, superior technology, professional training. By every measure, we should lose this fight. Should? Marcus asked, checking the alien weapons, finding them strange but intuitive. My people have a saying, Vayara said, moving toward the bunker's entrance with lethal grace. The warrior who knows they will win has already lost. The warrior who knows they will lose might discover they are wrong. She glanced back at him. Show me what you learned, Commander Webb. Show me that humanity can survive when everything says you should die. Explosions rocked the bunker. Concrete dust rained from the ceiling. The cutting equipment screamed louder, tearing through reinforced doors. Marcus felt fear trying to overwhelm him. Then he remembered Lesson 1. Pain is just information. Fear is just feedback. He took a deep breath, let the terror wash through him without controlling him, and focused on the tactical situation. He saw it then: patterns in the attack, predictable approaches, standard military procedure. They would breach from 3 points, use flashbangs, expect surrender, or desperate defense. Standard operating procedure for his own military, but he was not standard anymore. "I have a plan," Marcus said. Vayara laughed, fierce and approving. "Then lesson 2 is already successful. Implement it, my student. Let us teach your government why they should have listened when we warned them." The bunker door exploded inward, and the real battle began. Part 3. The Siege and the Secret. The first soldiers through the breach never knew what hit them. Marcus moved like water flowing around stones, using techniques Vayara had beaten into his body during the endless night. The alien weapons in his hands responded to his thoughts, firing energy bursts that disabled armor and weapons without killing. He did not want to kill his own people. That much humanity remained in him. The tactical thinking, however, was pure Salthine. He had booby-trapped the entrance using old explosive from the bunker's stockpile. Combined with alien technology that created zones of disorientation, the soldiers stumbled through smoke and confusion, their high-tech equipment scrambled by devices they could not understand. Vayara fought beside him, but Marcus noticed she was holding back, letting him take the lead. This was his test, his lesson. She would intervene only if he failed, completely. Marcus did not plan to fail. He had studied the bunker's layout during their brief rest, memorizing every corridor, every room, every potential choke point. Now he used that knowledge, leading the soldiers into ambushes, collapsing corridors behind them, turning their own tactical doctrine against them. "Alpha Team, we have contact," a voice shouted over the radio Marcus had taken from the first soldier. "Target is using unknown technology, possibly alien origin. Hostiles are the transmission cut off as Marcus disabled their communications hub with a precise shot." Silence fell, more terrifying than noise. The soldiers were cut off from command from each other, fighting blind in a hostile environment against an enemy who had every advantage. But they were professionals. They adapted quickly, using hand signals, advancing with disciplined caution. Marcus felt a strange pride in them even as he fought them. These were good soldiers, brave people doing their duty. In another situation, he would be fighting beside them. "You hesitate," Vayara said, appearing beside him in a shadow-filled corridor. "You could have ended this already, but you pull your strikes, avoid lethal force. This is weakness." "This is humanity," Marcus replied, watching the soldiers regroup through a surveillance feed. "We don't kill our own unless there's no other choice." "That sentiment will doom your species," Vayara said. But there was something in her voice, not approval exactly, but interest. "The Krill will show no such mercy." "Then we'll be different from the Krill," Marcus said. "That's the point, isn't it? That's why you chose us, instead of letting your empire mark us for destruction." Vayara was silent for a moment. Then she smiled, sharp and dangerous. "Perhaps. But this battle is not over, student. Watch." She pointed to the surveillance feed. The soldiers were setting up heavy equipment drilling gear, plasma cutters, something that looked like a small bomb. They were not trying to capture anymore. They were preparing to bring the entire bunker down. "It becomes serious," Vayara said. "They will sacrifice this facility to eliminate us." "Your move, Commander?" Marcus felt his heart racing, but his mind was clear. Lesson 1: pain and fear are just information. Lesson 2: apply knowledge under pressure. Now he needed Lesson 3, whatever that would be. "Can't fight them all," he said, "and I won't kill them. So we need to make them understand why they should stop attacking." "How?" Vayara asked. Marcus made his decision. He activated the radio, broadcasting on all channels. "This is Commander Marcus Webb to all assault forces. Cease your attack immediately. I am transmitting classified information that your command needs to see. Lives depend on this," silence answered him. Then a voice crackled through, harsh and authoritative. "Commander Webb, this is Colonel Sarah Martinez. You are under orders to surrender immediately. You have 30 seconds before we bring this structure down on your head." Marcus recognized the name. Martinez was one of the best, smart, dedicated by the book. She would not disobey orders easily. "Colonel, I know you," Marcus said. "We served together in Yemen, remember? The ambush outside Sana'a. You saved my life when I took shrapnel. I'm asking you to trust me one more time. Give me 5 minutes to show you what I found. If you don't believe me after that, you can collapse the entire bunker. Another pause. Marcus could imagine Martinez weighing her options, balancing duty against instinct. You have 3 minutes, Martinez finally said. And Webb. If this is a trick, I'll make sure you regret it. Understood, Marcus said. He turned to Vieira. I need your ship's data, the intelligence about the krill swarm. Everything you have. Vieira stared at him with those inhuman eyes. If you do this, you lose our advantage. Your government will take the information, take me, and you will be imprisoned or executed. The training will be incomplete. You will not be ready. But they'll know the truth, Marcus argued. They'll have time to prepare, to mobilize. Isn't that worth more than training just one soldier? No, Vieira said flatly. One properly trained warrior is worth 1,000 unprepared troops. History proves this again and again. I gave you lessons 1 and 2. You are beginning to think like a Salthine. Do not abandon that now for sentiment. Marcus felt anger rising. You want me to think like your people? Fine, your people lost, Vieira. Your perfect empire, your 10,000 years of victory, the krill destroyed it all. Maybe it's time to try a different approach. He expected her fury. Instead, Vieira laughed, the sound echoing strangely in the concrete corridor. You dare criticize my empire? You, who have learned barely a fraction of what I know? Yes, Marcus said, because your way got everyone killed. My way might actually save someone. Vieira moved so fast Marcus barely saw it. One moment she was across the corridor, the next her hand was at his throat, lifting him off his feet. Her strength was terrifying, inhuman. You know nothing, she hissed. Nothing of what we faced, what we sacrificed, what we lost. Marcus could not breathe, could not speak. But he met her eyes, refusing to look away, refusing to show fear. Slowly, Vieira lowered him. Her hand released his throat. But you might be right, she said quietly. My people became so focused on being strong that we forgot to be wise. We crushed every threat, eliminated every competitor, perfected our warfare until we were unbeatable. And then something came that did not care about our perfection, that simply consumed and moved on. She turned away, her shoulders sagging with a weight Marcus could not imagine. I will give you the data. Not because I believe your plan will work, but because you have earned the right to make your own choices. That is lesson 3. Commander Webb knowledge, without wisdom, is just another form of ignorance. Vieira pulled a small crystal from her armor, glowing with internal light. This contains everything. My people's records, our analysis of the krill, our final desperate strategies. Show it to your leaders. Let them see what is coming, and pray they are wiser than my empire was. Marcus took the crystal, feeling its warmth in his palm. He had 2 minutes left. He ran to the bunker's communication room. Jury rigged a connection to the crystal and broadcast its contents on every frequency. Above ground, Colonel Martinez and her team would be receiving it now, images of worlds consumed. Civilizations erased, the unstoppable advance of the krill swarm, and coordinates. The swarm's current location, hidden in Earth's asteroid belt. Preparing for invasion in 6 months, the radio crackled to life. Webb, what is this? What are we looking at? The truth, Colonel, Marcus said. The reason I locked myself in here with an alien princess. The reason I committed treason and fought my own people. Earth is in danger, and we have 6 months to prepare. Silence stretched for what felt like hours. Then Martinez spoke, her voice shaken. Stand down, all units. Cease assault operations immediately. Webb, we need you topside. We need to verify this information, and we need it now. Understood, Marcus said. He felt exhausted suddenly, the adrenaline draining from his body. We're coming up. He walked back to find Vieira sitting against a wall, her hand pressed to her side. Purple blood seeped between her fingers. Her wounds had reopened during the fight. The healing not as complete as she pretended. You're hurt, Marcus said, moving to help her. I am dying, Vieira corrected. I have been dying since you found me, Marcus. The neural transfer, the teaching it, is killing me faster. Every piece of knowledge I pass to you drains my life force. I calculated I had 72 hours. After this fight, after the data transfer, I have perhaps 24. Marcus felt his stomach drop. Why didn't you tell me? Because you would have tried to save me instead of learning what you need to know, Vieira said. And because I made peace with death when my homeworld fell, I died with my people, Marcus. This body simply has not accepted it yet. She stood with effort, leaning on him for support. But I will not die here, in this dark place. I will die above ground, under your sky, knowing I did everything possible to give humanity a chance. That will be enough. They walked toward the surface together, teacher and student, alien and human, warrior and warrior. The soldiers waited above, weapons lowered. Faces shocked as they saw what their government had been hunting. Colonel Martinez stepped forward, her expression unreadable. Commander Webb, Princess Vieira, you are both under protective custody. We have a lot of questions. We have 24 hours to answer them, Marcus said. After that, you'll need to find someone else to translate Southine strategy. Because my teacher is dying, and there's nothing any of us can do to stop it. Vieira smiled, fierce even in her weakness. Then we will make those hours count, student. Lesson 4 awaits, and this one will require everything you have learned so far. Above them, the stars shone bright and cold stars that might go dark if humanity failed to heed the warning. Part 4. The price of knowledge. They moved Vieira to a military medical facility within the hour. Doctors surrounded her, their instruments beeping frantically, their faces confused and frightened. Her physiology was nothing like human biology. Every attempt to stabilize her seemed to make things worse. Marcus watched from behind glass as they worked. Colonel Martinez stood beside him, her jaw tight with tension. On the screens around them, analysts pored over the data from Vieira's crystal images of destruction. Tactical reports, the cold mathematics of extinction. Is it real? Martinez asked quietly. All of it. Every word, Marcus said. I've seen inside her mind, Colonel. I felt what she felt when her world died. The Krill are real, they're coming, and we have 6 months to do what her empire couldn't do in 3. Martinez looked at him sharply. What do you mean you've seen inside her mind? Marcus touched his temple, feeling a strange pressure there that had been building since the bunker. The training wasn't just physical. She's been transferring knowledge directly into my brain memories, tactics, entire lifetimes of military strategy. I can think in ways I never could before. I can see patterns in chaos, solutions in impossibility. That's not possible, Martinez said. Neither is a 7-foot alien princess dying in a medical bay because she traveled across the galaxy to save a species she'd never met. Marcus replied, but here we are. A doctor emerged, pulling off bloodied gloves. His face was grave. Commander, Colonel, she's asking for you. I don't think she has much time left. They found Vieira propped up in a medical bed, tubes and wires connected to her body in a futile attempt to sustain life. She looked smaller somehow, diminished. But her eyes still burned with that fierce intelligence. Your doctors are kind but useless, she said, her voice weak. My biology is shutting down from the inside. The neural transfer is consuming me faster than predicted. She focused on Marcus. We must accelerate the final lessons. I have perhaps 12 hours, maybe less. You need to rest, Marcus protested. I will have eternity to rest, Vieira said. Now, I need to teach. Colonel Martinez, you will witness this. When it is complete, you will understand what Marcus is becoming and what humanity must become to survive. Martinez stepped forward cautiously. Your Highness, we're grateful for the warning. But our scientists need time to verify the data. To plan a response, you have no time, Vieira interrupted. The Krill do not wait for verification or planning. They consume, they adapt, they move on. If you face them with committees and bureaucracy, you will die as surely as my people did. She reached out, her hand trembling, and gripped Marcus's wrist. This human understands. I have taught him to think beyond the comfortable patterns of his species. Now I must complete the transfer before my death makes it impossible. What exactly are you transferring? Martinez asked. Vieira smiled sadly. Everything I am. My memories, my knowledge, my understanding of warfare at the galactic level. When I die, the Southine Empire dies with me on, lest I can pass our legacy to someone worthy. She looked at Marcus. But the process has risks. Your mind is human, built for human thoughts. I am forcing alien patterns into it, reshaping your consciousness. You may go mad. You may lose yourself entirely. Or you may become something new, something that carries the best of both our species. Marcus felt fear trying to grip him, but he pushed it away. Lesson 1. Do it, he said. I didn't come this far to back out now, Braviara said. Foolish, but brave. That is very human. She closed her eyes, and her hand began to glow with a soft blue light. This will hurt, Marcus. Not your body, your mind, your identity, your sense of self. You will experience things you cannot understand. Become aware of thoughts that are not yours. Live through memories of events that happened before your species even existed. The light spread from her hand to his, traveling up his arm like liquid fire. Marcus gasped as foreign thoughts slammed into his consciousness. He saw Vayara as a child. Training in combat pits while instructors watched without emotion, he felt her first kill, the shame and pride mixed together. He experienced her coronation as princess, the weight of responsibility for billions of lives. He witnessed her daughter's birth, the overwhelming love she had never been taught to express, and he saw the end. The Krill arrived without warning, their ships blotting out the sky. Southine fleets fought with perfect tactics, perfect coordination. They should have won. They had never lost a war in 10,000 years, but the Krill did not fight like anything the Southine understood. They did not respond to tactics or strategy. They simply consumed, adapted, and consumed more. Every ship destroyed was replaced by 2 more. Every defensive position breached became a feeding ground. Marcus felt Vayara's horror as she watched from her scout ship. It's too far away to help, too far away to die with her people. He heard her daughter's final transmission, the little girl's voice calling for her mother as the sky fell. I'm coming, my star, Vayara had whispered, knowing it was a lie. Mama is coming, but she never came. The transmission ended. The planet went silent. Marcus screamed, the grief not his own, but overwhelming nonetheless. Martinez grabbed him as he collapsed, but he could not stop the flow of memories. The torrent of knowledge pouring into his mind. He learned battle strategies that required thinking in 5 dimensions. He absorbed diplomatic protocols for species humans had never met. He understood scientific principles that would take Earth's scientists centuries to discover. It was too much, far too much for one human mind to contain. Something inside him began to crack, seizing. A doctor shouted, rushing forward with equipment. No, Vayara said, her voice commanding despite her weakness. Let the process complete. He is strong enough. He must be strong enough. Marcus felt his identity fracturing. Part of him was still the Marine Corps commander, raised in Tennessee, shaped by human experiences. But another part was becoming something else, a hybrid consciousness. Human intuition mixed with Southine logic. Earth's adaptability fused with an empire's knowledge. He stood at a crossroads in his own mind. One path led back to pure humanity, rejecting the alien knowledge, remaining who he had always been. The other path led forward into unknown territory, accepting the transformation, becoming something neither human nor salty. In the depths of his fragmenting consciousness, he heard Vayara's voice. Choose, Marcus. I cannot force this on you. You must take the final step yourself, or reject everything I have tried to give you. Marcus thought of Earth, of 6 billion humans who had no idea what was coming. He thought of Vayara's daughter, calling for a mother who could not save her. He thought of all the children on Earth who might face the same fate if he failed. He chose the forward path. The knowledge settled into place. You're no longer fighting his human mind, but merging with it. The pain faded, replaced by a strange clarity. Marcus opened his eyes and saw the medical bay with enhanced awareness, tactical angles, defensive positions. Threat assessments all processed automatically without conscious thought. Holy God, Martinez whispered, staring at him. Your eyes. Marcus touched his face, His vision had changed, showing more colors than humans should perceive. His double reflection in the medical equipment showed eyes that flickered between human and something else. "What have you done to him?" Martinez demanded, rounding on Veyara. "I have given him a chance," Veyara said, and her voice was fading now, growing distant. "The knowledge transfer is complete. Everything I know, everything my people learned in 10,000 years it is now part of him. He is no longer just human, but he is not Salthine either. He is something new." She looked at Marcus with dying eyes. "There is one final thing you must know, my student. The Krill are not mindless. They have an intelligence, ancient and vast. They consume civilizations not for food, but for knowledge. Every species they devour adds to their collective understanding. They become smarter, more adaptable with each conquest." Marcus felt cold realization. "They'll come for Earth not just to feed, but to absorb humanity's knowledge," as Veyara whispered. "Your chaos, your unpredictability, your beautiful disaster of a species they want it. They want to understand it, to consume it, to add it to themselves. You cannot simply fight them. You must outthink them, surprise them, show them something they have never encountered in all their eons of existence." "How?" Marcus asked. Veyara's smile was peaceful now, accepting. "That is lesson 5, the final lesson. But I will not be alive to teach it. You must discover it yourself, using everything I have given you, combined with everything you already are." Her hand reached up, trembling, touching his face. "My daughter's name was Sereth. She loved music and mathematics. She would have been a great teacher if she had lived." Tears purple and luminous ran down her silver skin. "Remember her, Marcus? When the Krill come, fight for her. Fight for all the children who will never grow up if we fail." "I will," Marcus promised, gripping her hand. "I swear it." Veyara's eyes closed. Her breathing slowed. The medical equipment around her began flatly beeping as her life signs faded. "No," a doctor said, rushing forward. "We're losing her." But Veyara was at peace. Her final words were barely audible, spoken in her own language Marcus now understood. "I am coming, my star. Mama is finally coming home." She died with a smile on her face, her hand still holding Marcus's. The room fell silent except for the steady tone of the heart monitor. Colonel Martinez stood frozen, her face pale. The doctors stepped back, recognizing that some things were beyond their ability to fix. Marcus carefully released Veyara's hand, laying it gently across her chest. He felt grief overwhelming him, both his own and the echo of hers that remained in his transformed mind. But beneath the grief was something else: purpose, determination, and knowledge that might save billions of lives. He turned to Martinez. And when he spoke, his voice carried an authority that had not been there before. "Gather the Joint Chiefs, the President, every military leader you can contact. We have 5 months and 23 days before the Krill swarm begins its final approach. If we're going to survive, we need to start preparing now." Martinez stared at him, seeing not just a commander, but something more. "What do you need?" Marcus looked down at Veyara's body one final time, then back at the colonel. "Everything. I need to train soldiers who can think like I do now. I need scientists who can understand Salthine technology. I need leaders who will listen when I tell them the old rules don't." "Apply any more?" He straightened, feeling the weight of an empire's legacy settling onto his shoulders. "I am the last student of the Salthine Empire, Colonel, and I'm going to make sure their final lesson is not wasted." Above them, invisible in the daylight, the stars waited, cold, distant, and filled with terrors humanity was only beginning to understand. Part 5. The Heir of Two Worlds 6 months later. Commander Marcus Webb stood in the command center of the newly constructed Earth Defense Station, watching the asteroid belt through enhanced vision that no human should possess. Around him, screens displayed data in patterns that mixed human-computer code with Salthine Tactical displays, a hybrid system created by a hybrid mind. The transformation had not been easy. In the weeks after Veyara's death, Marcus had struggled with his new identity. He dreamed in 2 languages, thought in overlapping patterns. saw the world through human eyes and alien understanding simultaneously. Military psychologists called him stable. Marcus knew he was something else entirely adapted. Contact in 30 minutes, reported Lieutenant Chen. One of the first humans Marcus had trained in Southern combat philosophy. She moved with a grace that military basic training never taught, her mind processing tactical information at speeds that shocked her instructors. All defensive positions are ready. Marcus nodded, his enhanced vision tracking the movements of Earth's hastily assembled fleet. They had done the impossible, in 6 months united the world under a common threat. Built weapons incorporating Salvine technology, trained soldiers in alien warfare tactics. But it still might not be enough. The Krill swarm had emerged from the asteroid belt exactly as Viara predicted. Millions of bioships, each one a living nightmare of teeth and hunger. They had paused at the orbit of Mars, assessing Earth's defenses, and now they were coming. "Sir, transmission from the President," another officer reported. Marcus activated the communication. President Chen's face appeared, strained but determined. "Commander Webb, you have full authorization. Do whatever is necessary to protect our world." "Understood, Madam President," Marcus said. He cut the transmission and activated fleet-wide communications. His voice carried to every ship, every defensive platform, every soldier preparing to face extinction. "All units, this is Commander Webb. What we face today has destroyed countless civilizations. The Selthine Empire, with 10,000 years of military perfection, fell in 3 months. We've had 6 months to prepare, using knowledge paid for with the death of an entire species." He paused, letting that sink in. "But we have something they didn't. We're not perfect. We're not predictable. We're humans, stubborn, creative, impossible to fully understand. The Krill expect tactics and strategy. We're going to give them chaos and adaptation. They want to consume our knowledge? Let's show them something that will give them indigestion." Nervous laughter rippled through the communications. Marcus felt Vera's approval in the back of his mind, a ghost of her teaching that remained. "All units engage on my command," Marcus ordered. "And remember today we fight not just for Earth, but for every world the Krill have destroyed. We fight for Veyara's daughter, Sirith. We fight for the Salthan Empire. We fight so that humanity's children will grow up to see the stars." The Krill swarm entered weapons range. "Engage," Marcus commanded. The battle began with fire and fury. Earth's fleet, small compared to the endless waves of Krill ships, struck not with overwhelming force, but with calculated unpredictability. They used tactics Marcus had spent months developing, combinations of Salthine precision and human improvisation that created patterns the Krill had never encountered, where the Salthine would have met force with superior force. Earth's ships dodged and weaved, striking from unexpected angles. Where the Salthine would have held defensive positions, human commanders abandoned them without warning, creating traps that exploited the Krill's own momentum against them. It was working. The Krill, used to crushing civilizations through superior adaptation, found themselves confused by an enemy that refused to be understood. But there were too many of them, were taking heavy casualties. Lieutenant Chen reported, her voice steady, despite the horror she was witnessing. "Sections 12 through 18 are gone. The lunar defense grid is failing." Marcus analyzed the battle with both human intuition and Salthine logic. They were losing not quickly, but inevitably. The Krill would adapt to Earth's chaos, given enough time. He needed something more, something that would change the fundamental nature of the conflict. Then he saw it. The Krill were not a swarm of individuals. They were a collective intelligence. Each ship part of a larger whole. Destroy enough ships and you damage their thinking capacity, but they regenerated faster than you could kill them. But what if you could disrupt the network itself? What if you could introduce a virus not to their bodies, but to their collective consciousness? It was insane. It required both human creativity and Salthine precision. It meant sacrificing the flagship and everyone aboard, including himself. "Chen, you have command," Marcus said, already moving toward the hangar bay. "Double quotes, sir? What are you doing?" Chen asked. Marcus explained his plan in rapid sentences. Silence followed. That's suicide, Chen finally said. That's adaptation, Marcus corrected. Vayara taught me that knowledge without action is useless. I know what needs to be done. Now I do it. You're humanity's greatest weapon, Chen protested. We need you. Humanity's greatest weapon is not me, Marcus said. It's the ability to change, to evolve, to become what we need to be in any given moment. I'm just the first example. You'll create more, better versions. That's what we do. We improve. He boarded a fighter craft modified with self-themed technology. Carrying a device, he and Earth scientists had built a neural virus based on Vayara's memory patterns. If he could get close enough to the Krill's central intelligence node, the massive bioship directing the swarm, he could introduce the virus directly into their collective consciousness. The Krill would either adapt and consume it, becoming stronger, or they would reject it as incompatible, disrupting their entire network long enough for Earth to strike a killing blow. It was a gamble. Vayara would have called it a desperate one. Marcus called it very human. He launched into the battle, his fighter moving through space with precision no human pilot should possess. Krill ships pursued him, but he outthought them, using their own attack patterns against them, leading them into friendly fire. Exploiting microseconds of confusion, he reached the central intelligence node, a massive organic structure that pulsed with dark energy. Close up, it was beautiful, and its horror a living cathedral of teeth and hunger. Consciousness without compassion. Marcus armed the virus device and aimed his ship directly at the heart of the node. For Sereth, he whispered. For Vayara. For Earth? He crashed into the node at full speed, releasing the virus at the moment of impact. His ship exploded, but the device activated, spreading Vayara's memory patterns into the Krill's collective consciousness. For a moment, the entire swarm froze. They experienced something they had never known in all their eons of existence: grief. Vayara's memories flooded their network. They felt a mother's love for her daughter. They understood loss, sacrifice, the weight of protecting those who could not protect themselves. The Krill collective intelligence, built for consumption and adaptation, could not process compassion. The virus spread like poison through their network, not destroying them, but confusing them, making them question their own purpose. In that moment of confusion, Earth's fleet struck, every weapon fired simultaneously, coordinated by Chen, who had inherited Marcus's tactical position. They targeted the network nodes, the connection points that held the swarm together. Ships exploded by the thousands, the Krill unable to adapt quickly enough, their collective consciousness too disrupted to respond. The battle turned. The Krill swarm, facing something they could not understand and could not consume, made a decision they had never made before. They retreated. The bioships turned and fled back toward the asteroid belt, then beyond, disappearing into the dark spaces between stars. They left behind wreckage, debris, a world that had survived what the Salthine Empire could not. Earth had won in the command center. Lieutenant Chen watched the Krill disappear from sensors. Around her, officers stood in stunned silence. They had been prepared to die. Instead, they had witnessed a miracle. Commander Webb? Chen called into the communications. Marcus, do you read? Only static answered. Chen closed her eyes, allowing herself one moment of grief. Then she opened them and began issuing orders. There was work to deer building, healing, preparing for the day the Krill might return. But that night, when the work was done, she visited the memorial they had built at the bunker, where it all began. A statue of Vayara stood there, crafted from the remains of her ship. Beside it, they had placed a holographic image of Marcus. Eternally watchful, Chen placed 2 flowers at the base, one for the alien princess, who had sacrificed everything for a species not her own. One for the human commander who had learned her lessons too well. Thank you, she said simply. Above her, the stars shone bright, no longer cold and threatening, but full of possibility. Humanity had survived its first galactic war. More would come, Chen knew. The universe was vast and dangerous, but humanity would be ready. The Vayara Institute opened the following year, training soldiers, scientists, and leaders in the hybrid philosophy Marcus had pioneered. They learned to think with Salthine precision and human creativity, to fight with alien tactics and human determination. The instructors taught their students about Vayara, about her sacrifice, about her daughter Sereth, who loved music and mathematics. They taught about Marcus Webb, who had given his life to save a world. They taught that strength without wisdom is tyranny, and wisdom without strength is surrender, and every student, upon graduation, swore an oath by blood and fire, as the Salthine had once done to protect not just Earth, but all civilizations that might face extinction. Humanity would be the shield that the galaxy needed. The survivors who learned from the fallen, the species that combined the best of every civilization they encountered. 20 years later, when Earth's first deep space exploration ships ventured beyond the solar system, they found something remarkable. Floating in the asteroid belt, preserved in the void, was a small crystal, the kind the Salthine used for neural backups. Scientists brought it aboard, activated it carefully, and gasped as a holographic image appeared. Vayara stood before them, her image ghostly but unmistakable. Beside her, equally translucent, stood Marcus Webb. They were smiling. "If you are seeing this," Vayara's recorded voice said, "then you survived. Humanity endured what my people could not. You have earned the right to the final lesson, Lesson 5, Marcus continued. We are not truly dead. Our consciousness patterns, preserved in this crystal, can guide future generations. We are memory, knowledge, and hope combined. Use us as teachers, as advisors, as reminders of what sacrifice means." Vayara's image stepped forward. "The galaxy is vast. Humans. You will face threats greater than the Krill. You will be tempted to become conquerors, like my people were, or to retreat into isolation. Do neither. Be what we could not, strong enough to fight, wise enough to choose peace, compassionate enough to help others, even when it costs you everything." Marcus placed his holographic hand over his heart, then extended it outward, a gesture combining human respect and Salthine honor. "We are the heir of two worlds, the student and teacher, bound forever. Let our legacy be not in how we died, but in how you live." The hologram faded, but the crystal remained. Pulsing with soft light, the scientists brought it back to Earth, where it was placed in the Vayara Institute's central hall. There, it served as a living library Marcus and Vayara's preserved consciousness, available to teach anyone who came seeking wisdom, and generations of humans came, learning from the alien princess and the commander who had become something more than human. They learned strategy and compassion, warfare and wisdom, the price of survival and the value of sacrifice. Humanity spread to the stars, not as conquerors, but as survivors who remembered where they came from. They found other civilizations, some peaceful, some hostile. They made allies and fought enemies. They adapted, evolved, and grew. But they never forgot the bunker in the Appalachian wilderness where everything changed. They never forgot Princess Vayara of the Salthine Empire, who died so that others might live. They never forgot Commander Marcus Webb, who chose to become something new rather than remain safely human. And when other species asked humanity how they survived what destroyed so many others, they told the story of a crash, a bargain, and lessons paid for in blood and grief. They told the story of how humanity learned not just to survive, but to inherit the legacy of fallen empires and make it something better. They told the story of Sereth, the little girl who loved music and mathematics, whose memory inspired a species to protect all children throughout the galaxy and above Earth. In the station where the battle had been won, a new star was named in the official registry Vayara Star, shining bright and eternal. A reminder that sometimes the greatest gift one species can give another is the chance to become something more. Humanity had survived, and in surviving, they had become what the galaxy needed: warriors and teachers, destroyers and protectors, the heir of two worlds and the hope of countless more. The story was far from over, but it was a beginning worth fighting for. The end.